Welcome everyone to the May 18th Curriculum Committee meeting. We're going to start off with our approval of minutes. Did anyone have anything they want to see updated or reflected in the meeting minutes?
Looks good to me.
All right, then we're going to move on to our first presentation, Count Me In Math Reflection.
A few weeks ago, Mr. Perry acknowledged some accolades that we got, PASD teachers got from Executive Director George Fiore at the Chester County Intermediate Unit for an event that several of our teachers had an opportunity to participate in around the topic of math. And we're lucky enough, I know that you wanted to give them some public recognition here, and we're lucky enough to have 4 of our faculty here to just give a brief overview of that day, talk about maybe where it could lead us in the future, and then answer any of your questions. So we have Mr. Evers, Ms. Esposito, Mr. Adams, and Ms. Adams that will approach the podium.
All right, thanks so much for having us. We wanted to just speak briefly about our experience attending the Counted Out viewing, I suppose, and subsequent conversation with fellow educators from Chester County school districts. We were able to view the film, and then there was a panel of people from the area. There was, I forget her name, but a woman from PDE, and actually one of the gentlemen who was in one of the vignettes from the film. And the film itself was enlightening in the sense that we saw first-person accounts of how math is impactful from a civic and humanities standpoint, in addition to an academic educational standpoint, and how a lack of math proficiency can really impact your life post-education. For example, there was a gentleman who found himself incarcerated, and because of some foundational skill in math, was able to pull himself out of that situation. But he explained, I see people all the time who don't have this ability, and what an unfortunate circumstance that they find themselves in that they can't overcome. And so we look at stock market, we look at, simple things like understanding weather reports and things in life where math foundation is so important. And so we then try to apply that in Phoenixville, and how do we as educators make sure that we're sending students into the world with a foundation that applies to the world.
So one thing I was thinking a lot about during the movie is, how do we catch our young students? Jen and I both come from elementary, and, we're both IST teachers, which means we provide a lot of interventions for struggling math students. And one thing I always try and do in my classroom is help students love math, fall in love with it, because if you're not good at something, you usually don't like it. So one thing that I thought a lot about during the movie was things we used to do in the past to get kids excited about math. For example, I used to have a first in math competition where students earn stickers for completing math problems. And some of our most struggling students were the winners of those competitions. They would get a certificate, a medal, popsicle party, and they just beamed with pride. And I think they then started to enjoy math a little bit more. I know Lisa Denner, one of our gifted teachers, does Math Olympics, and same idea. Kids get excited about the competition. They want to do the math problems. They want to succeed, and they get really excited about that. Mrs. Huxta does Pi Day every year, a special event, and that got us talking one day about, we have Read Across America week, but we don't have like a math week at the elementary level. Like, how cool would that be, centered around Pi Day with math activities all throughout the week for our elementary and our middle school and high school students. I think that'd be really, really impactful if we can bring some of those programs back. The last one I was thinking of is our Math 24 competitions. We used to have building-wide competitions, district-wide competitions, and then county-wide competitions. And I mean, those kids, they know their facts so well. And the kids who, might struggle a little bit, gives them something to work towards in practice. So I think those are things we might want to consider bringing back to Phoenixville, just to get kids to really start enjoying math a little bit more.
And just to build off of what Jeremy was saying, looking at our students and how they view themselves as mathematicians, their math identity. So unlike them, I wrote down my thoughts so I can be very clear. So one of the most powerful messages from the documentary, Counted Out, is that math is not just a school subject, but is a life skill that shapes opportunity, confidence, and access. Too often, students grow up believing they are either a math person or they are not. That belief can impact their confidence for years and limit the paths they see for themselves in the future. The film reminds us that math identity begins early. When students experience math as memorization, speed, or fear of being wrong, many begin to disconnect. But when they are given opportunities to think, problem solve, explain their reasoning, productively struggle, and see math connected to the real world, they begin to see themselves as capable mathematicians. As educators, our responsibility is to not simply to teach students how to get answers, it is to help them believe they belong in mathematics. Strong math identity builds perseverance, confidence, and future readiness. Whether students pursue college, careers, trades, or simply need to navigate daily life in a world driven by numbers and decisions. When we improve math instruction, we are not just raising achievement, we are expanding possibilities for every child.
And I just wanted to take a moment to thank the administration and the school board, because when we were there, I felt very honored and proud to be a Phoenixville teacher. We represented very well at this event. We had, I think, 5 or 6 of you at the high school, secondary, and we had 6 of us there at the elementary. And what was even more special about that is we were one of the very few school districts that not only represented with teachers, but we had administration learning alongside us. And I think that goes above and beyond, that says the support that's here in the administration that is really caring about the culture of our district and fostering continued learning and growth mindset. And I think just to the administration for supporting it and for allowing us to go and grow as educators meant a lot to me, and I know meant a lot to the teachers that went and administrators. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say one more thing? At the elementary level, our intervention blocks are very heavily focused on reading, as they should be, right? Elementary reading is paramount. However, we don't have a focus on math intervention to the extent that we do reading. We have reading specialists in every building. And while Jeremy and I are able to focus our positions a little bit more on math because we're instructional support and it's up to the purview of the principal to direct us how they'd like, and we get to focus on math, which is so wonderful. Not every building has a math interventionist. The middle school doesn't have one. The early learning center doesn't have one. And so I would encourage you in the future to think about staffing more math positions the way we staff reading intervention positions, because win, boost, whatever you want to call that intervention block at elementary, I think as a district, we should start to shift the focus, not just towards reading, but maybe to a balanced approach, reading and math. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if you're aware, but I'm the board representative to the IU. And at the, it wasn't the last meeting, it was the meeting before last, I guess it was. After the meeting was over, Dr. Yoder just about jumped over chairs to catch me as I was packing up my stuff to tell me about your collective participation in this program. And she said, your district was the most prepared, asked the best questions, and the most informed about the subject. And that was just very heartwarming to hear, because I love when a subject is not taught just for the subject's sake. is that if you can give it a broader meaning to somebody, even if it's a practical, this is something you might use in the rest of your life or beyond that. So I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Good job, everybody. Hey, Brittany, I gotta jump in one too. As the math professor sitting on the board, thank you. Was this the Joe Bowler movie? Is that what it was? They count me out. Just thank you for all that you're doing. At the college level, it is really hard to build that back. So thank you for, they are not, have little cards on them in the nursery that says you're a math person and you're not. So thank you for that.
All right, wonderful. We'll move on to our next presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Remington. I'm going to invite Mr. Deeney to the podium to discuss two small revisions to high school coursework, as well as two new course proposals.
Thank you, Dr. Bacido. You will see in our agenda this evening, we have two courses that were up for revision this year, kind of continuing our work that we have been undergoing over the last 3 years. After we did really kindergarten through Algebra 2 last year, we moved into pre-calculus. So that was our next course that we brought on as far as the high school math sequence was concerned. So you'll see those here. Again, minor revisions, minor tweaks. We're really making sure, bringing our calculus teachers into that conversation to make sure that they had a say to make sure that, again, our students are showing up from pre-calculus ready to tackle what is going on in their calculus classes. The second course that is listed there is again, a revision to our chemistry course. This is a full credit chemistry course. This follows in line with our science sequencing that we have been working on over the last couple of years. And really the team has taken a lot of time to really build in the phenomenon-based experiences here for our students to really drive home those science and engineering practices in this space as well. The two new courses that are up for I guess, initial approval tonight, but then to see again in June, are our Investing in Finance course, which is a new half-credit elective within our business department. This will be a nice spin-off from our personal finance course, which you will see next month after those revisions are finalized. But again, it's a nice next step in that space as well. As we look at not only just how do students exist within kind of their personal finance world in the immediate moment and those subsequent first couple of years, but really look to the long-term planning that goes into their money and their, hopefully wealth building. And the last class here probably is the one that, for me is the one that has taken the most effort to kind of get us here. You will see that is environmental sustainability and the Phoenixville community. This is the course that literally grows out of the Phantom Farm out front. This is a collaborative project with Trellis for Tomorrow and one of our environmental science teacher at the high school, Miss Bridget Gross, who has taken a lot of the ownership of that space, where we are not only just using that space to do the great work of producing the food that we can donate to PACS, but we're also going to turn it into a living science lab. So we've done some of that initial conversation around how do we do that in concert without necessarily destroying an entire bed that is there to produce food. So we've had a lot of really great conversation around, how we can use this space to both, do the experiential learning of maintaining that space as a food producing opportunity, but also using it as a science experience as well for students. So that they can really literally get their hands in the dirt and do the real science that goes into this. So again, that's 4 courses. Again, a quick overview, but again, I'll field any questions that might be out there at the moment.
What kind of numbers do you expect to have for the environmental sustainability?
We're looking at one section right now. My anticipation, as with any good elective, is it will start small, and we'll see that grow over the coming years is my anticipation.
So the revisions to pre-calculus and chemistry, I just glanced at that and didn't see anything significantly different from the last time. Is it just timing? What has changed in those?
So it's really timing and also getting it into Atlas. So we wanted to make sure, and again, bringing it back really when it comes to pre-calculus, making sure that, again, all of those pieces that need to be there to make sure that our students are ready to step into AB or BC Calc, ready to go. Again, that was a lot of collaborative conversation amongst, our math team there.
Okay, and can you tell me, you said the investing in finance course is a business elective.
Yes.
Is the environmental sustainability course a science elective, or what
Yes.
is that?
Yes, that'll
It
be a
does count
science
as a
elective.
science credit? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. So both of those are 0.5?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, next we'll move on to our approval items. These will be approved at the June 1st board meeting. The first one is for secondary curriculum revision. Oh, sorry. Next one. Oh, okay, thank you. Yes, secondary curriculum revisions and the new courses. All right, second one is our interim healthcare agreement for 26-27.
I can comment on that. Is that good?
Yeah, sorry.
Sure. The interim healthcare agreement represents a renewal of an agreement that we have in place currently, and we will access interim healthcare for nurses as needed. So this is if any of our health offices appear to be short-staffed in the near future, we have accessed them most frequently this year to help cover field trips. So this is an as-needed agreement here.
Okay. Moving on to the Temple Real Estate Investment Partnership Program.
This has been several months in the making, and we're very excited about this. I'm getting ready to shout you out, Ms. Walker. Thank you. Ms. Walker brought this opportunity, I'll say, to our attention a few months ago, and we've had several conversations with Temple University. They have a real estate investment program within their university that is for high school students. And there are a wide menu of offerings that could lead up to students having licensure or near licensure when they graduate from high school. So it's an opportunity that's in place with just really one other local school at this point. So we're excited to sort of get in at the ground floor level. And we've had a lot of conversations about scale, about where to start so that we can really recruit and make sure that students and their families know what an opportunity this is. We're starting next year with a series of lunch and learns for students where we can garner interest, tell them about the menu of offerings, get them to do some field experience work for students that may be necessary, observing at a brokerage, things like that, and get them in contact with not only folks from Temple, but local real estate agents. And then from there, we're going to be really recruiting heavily students to hopefully participate in coursework as soon as the following year, where they could do anywhere from a semester, really depending upon how we structure that agreement and what type of interest we have from students, anywhere from a semester of coursework through a pre-licensure program where students would be eligible to test as soon as they turn 18 and graduate. So that's a very exciting sort of new partnership that we are recommending. And one other thing that I wanted to mention is not only does this help us and help our students with new opportunities and as they think about their careers and moving past graduation, but this also is a great opportunity for students who may need an alternate pathway to graduation. And so that will help students achieve higher graduation rates as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing us.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here to hear that. I'm sorry. But I think that's wonderful. Thank you guys so much for
All right, next we have an ESY agreement for Cottage 7 Academy.
This is a standard agreement for one student to participate in extended school year services with the School of Placement.
All right, next we have a textbook proposal for health class.
This was requested by the high school health teacher for a teacher manual as a new resource to guide the high school health course.
All right, next we have a renewal agreement with Edmentum for products and services for a term of August 1st, 2026 through July 31st, 2027 at a cost of $32,505.
This also represents a renewal agreement. Edmentum is a company that the district has accessed for several years. Courseware is a platform that we use at the high school for credit recovery options for students that need them. And then ExactPath, diagnostic tool, and Learning Path is a program that we use in the K-5. It's part of our district internal assessment protocol at this point, and then access for students for individualized learning support in addition to support provided by their teacher. The biggest difference that I'd like to call out here is that we have in the past as a district done multi-year renewals with Edmentum. Given where we are with our board goals and certainly our administration and teachers' commitment to looking at that balance between online and not online experiences for our students, we're recommending a one-year agreement as we further investigate this and not lock us into a multi-year contract. It is a really important tool for our district right now, so I am recommending its continuation for next year until or unless we have a different proposal moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
Can I ask, is there a cost difference to do the 1 year as opposed to the multi-year that we've been doing?
Yes, there is a cost difference, although I will say that the cost that's represented here has been, believe it or not, significantly negotiated down for a 1 year. All of these platforms are sort of jaw-dropping expenses, but this was negotiated down. The annual cost would be less if we were in a multi-year agreement, but at this point, based on the figure that you see there, not much less, a few thousand.
I appreciate your negotiating skills. Thank you.
thank you. Next, moving on to book disposal for Manavon.
This is just a routine weeding that was done by the Manavon librarian.
Thank you. Next, we have the Betterview Counseling and Trauma Recovery Contract for a term of July 1st, 2026 through June 30, 2027.
This contract also represents a new partnership and recommendation proposed by the district. Betterview is available and ready to provide some services for students in classroom-based settings in the areas of frustration tolerance, social skills, breathing exercises, self-regulation, boundaries, and we are recommending that we put these services in place at the Early Learning Center, in particular in kindergarten, to help bolster the curriculum of essentially how to be a student when kids come into full-time public education.
That's great.
Yeah, on that, I really appreciate the administration doing this. I know the teachers know and families that are in the Early Learning Center in Manavon have seen it's been a challenging environment. And so I think this is a really valuable support for them. One of the questions that I had initially raised and was curious if you'd gotten an answer on is if there's a family component to this as well. So it's a real holistic look at helping give these students and families the support that they need.
Through Betterview itself and this iteration of the contract, there's not a family component. However, there will be an early learning center connection with families through Dr. Salato and her team about making sure that families are abreast and aware about the program, making any recommendations for carry through at home. I'm sure that some resource sharing will take place there, but at this juncture, and perhaps in the future, we would expand that. At this juncture, Betterview is not scheduled to interface with families.
And if I could just add to that, Dr. Pacito and Mr. Overland, a couple of things. We did put an update in the packet about these services because they're classroom based, but yet there is also potentially for students in need a small group component as well. And I wanted to add in terms of family support, what we have also done that will be occurring this summer is continued to further our partnership with Family Services of Chester County. And what we're able to provide is specific to Early Learning Center families
families. And it includes both the family support, as Dr. Halloran well knows from being in the hub, as well as student support that happen at the same time in actually in our Early Learning Center Manavon building, but outside of school hours. We've never run those programs in the summer before. And so it is a great favor to us that Family Services of Chester County is offering that support. Our counselor at the Early Learning Center, Miss Beck, she, when she presented to preschool communities, she did share this development, and there will be communication from Dr. Salato as well, so that interested families can express interest and sign up either for one of the summer sessions that's running, or we also offer those during the year. Family Services of Chester County's offer those during the school year as well.
Great. And I'm also, even though it's not on the agenda for this meeting, very pleased that we are returning to the longer kindergarten camp. I think that will also, as you know, that I didn't love when we got rid of that. So I think that'll help ensure students are better prepared as well coming in. So I really appreciate this multi-pronged approach that we're taking to help support our teachers and families and students there.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have an agreement with Brandywine Virtual Academy for a term of July 1st, 2026 through June 30, 2027. Anything to add there?
This also represents an annual renewal. I told the board and the public last year at this time that BVA prices last year at this time increased by 4.1%. I can't give you a flat percentage increase this time because the IU has moved more towards a multi-page itemized line item expense, and some of those we've done a comparison. There are new services available through the BVA contract that we may or may not access depending on the needs of the students that choose to enroll in BVA. Some of the line items are going up significantly, and those most notably are for students that access special education and multilingual services through Brandywine Virtual Academy. A few of the line items are flat. I would expect that this is a bigger component of our budget next year, but again, that really all just depends on how many students are interested and eligible for Brandywine Virtual Academy. We have accounted for what we think is our best guesstimate in the 26-27 budget.
Thank you. Next, we have Grand Canyon University MOU for field placement for a term of April 28th, 2026 through April 28th, 2029.
We have a few students participating in Grand Canyon University, and we have student teacher field placement experiences available for them within our classrooms, so we're recommending approval of the MOU.
Okay, then we have ELD Professional Learning Services with the CCIU for the 26-27 school year.
This agreement will give access to our high school ELD, English Language Department, additional training, and that falls within our ATSI, Additional Targeted Support and Improvement Plan, that the high school is still under. While you'll see prices, if you click that link, we are able to cash in days of training that were afforded to us through the professional learning plan. So this calls for quarterly training sessions with the high school department.
Okay, and then our final approval, we have a transportation field trip approval for the PIAA track and field states. Anything to add there?
Although this approval is under approval items at the June 1st meeting, you will see this on tonight's consent agenda too, and sorry and thank you for that. We do have students that have qualified for track and field states, which is amazing. They will be attending the event at Shippensburg University, which is this weekend. So we'll hope that you'll approve it.
Do we know events? What events?
Dr. Shield is here, and she might be, or will be here, and she might be able to comment on. Is she here? There you are. You don't know the event. Well, I can get that.
I do know. I don't know exactly what event it is, but one of them is Michael Venezia. He's really hoping we approve. Frank is really hoping that we approve this.
Well, then I'm on the fence, I guess.
All right, we'll move on to recognition of visitors. The committee respectfully asks that the comments last no longer than 3 minutes. Our first speaker is Carrie Cook.
Hi, I'm Carrie Cook. I'm from East Pikeland. I've written this a few times, and I'm here today to talk to you from a unique perspective. I wear a lot of different hats. Some of you may know me as a band mom. My son Caleb is in the 10th grade and has spoken here 2 meetings ago. He is a very talented musician, and I'm super proud of him. I'm also a community leader in the nonprofit space. I'm also a big nerd for work as a satellite engineer. But really what I wanted to share today is that I am a band kid. I continue to play to this day. And in high school as a senior, I got the senior superlative of biggest band nerd. Pretty funny, right? Not in my school though. It was an honor, as 1 in 4 kids were in band. Now, why is that important? Because I want to tell you a cautionary tale. I want you to look at the big picture, to look at not just this year's music program, but about 3 years out, 5 years out, and 10 years down the line. Okay, now bear with me. I'm not a music educator. I don't teach music. But having learned music and having been part of an excellent band program growing up has had a profound impact on my life. And let me explain, and let me brag a bit for a second. I'm from the state of Delaware and was in one of the best marching bands in the nation. My high school band was over 360 members strong. We were bigger than the University of Delaware. We filled up the entire football field when spread out. We marched across the US and internationally. We marched every year in the Channel 6 Thanksgiving Day Parade in Philly, and we were hailed as the most televised high school band in America. I marched in Dublin, Ireland for the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Tournament of Roses Rose Bowl Parade, and the band played for the Pope at the Vatican in Italy. So why did I just tell you about my amazing high school band and our experiences? In 2015, our band director retired after 36 years of impacting thousands of students. If you remember, I said each year we had over 360 members. Our band director passed away in 2024, and alumni returned for the homecoming football game. 200 members of the alumni band, myself included, joined the 8 current members of the band. Yep, you heard me right. From his retirement in 2015 to 2024, less than 10 years later, a 360-member band dropped to 8 members, okay? So we talk about how amazing the Phoenixville band is and the accolades they've acquired. We need to increase staffing at elementary and middle school levels to ensure access to lessons and instruction time, grow the music program, and keep growing it year over year. Don't take away from it. We need the long-term elementary sub as a permanent music position, period. Music sticks with us for a long time so we can continue to give back to our communities, even as adults. Please continue to build, grow, and fund the band program and look ahead.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Caleb Cook.
Caleb's not here yet. He's coming from the band Ice Cream Social.
All right, we'll move on to Max Work.
He's also coming from the Ice Cream Social.
All right, Lisa Longo.
Good evening, board. I want to also talk about the music program. I went back through my notes as a former board member and found that in our former strategic plan, we not only supported the arts and music, but we were expanding it. So over 3 years, we put $50,000 a year extra in the budget. To cut it now is throwing that money away. We wanted to be the premier arts high school in the area, right? Every high school, we have the STEM school over in Downingtown. We have other schools that have big athletic programs. But what Phoenixville has always stood on was our amazing arts program. And in case you didn't know, the only program in Phoenixville that was actually self-funded was the theater program. And that's pretty amazing, right? Athletics doesn't pay for itself, not by millions. So the music program is also important. Let's talk about the math presentation. We know that learning to read music helps kids do better in math. We know that our children are going to benefit from this because of their arts background. They're going to do better academically. Not only that, anxiety and depression, which we all acknowledge is a problem as kids get to high school, is also helped by a strong arts program, especially music. I live a couple blocks away. I love hearing the band play at night. It's one of my favorite things. I look forward to it all year. And taking away a substitute, you look at that and you say, how much impact can that really have? A lot. It sends a message to the children, to the community, and to the faculty. Now, how do you pay for it, right? That's always going to be the question. There are a lot of line items in the budget where you do have discretion. Most of them you may not. But looking at this, I know board docs is on the agenda tonight, $18,000 a year. There are ways to do that much cheaper. Looking at the health insurance, the medical reserve, how many months do we have in the reserve? You can change that. You can take money. There's $1 million going over to the capital reserve. You can change that. How much does this substitute cost in the greater scheme of that entire budget? Now is not the time to be pulling back on our arts program. I would challenge you and say, get back to expanding that program. Make us that premier arts school.
30 seconds.
So in committee, there really shouldn't be a time limit. Let's just say that. That's the thing about committee is we're here to talk to you. So I want to just talk a little bit about, I heard about 2 programs that were job readiness programs. Awesome, kudos. But one thing I don't hear about is how do we prepare our children to understand governance? Why aren't they here? So we need to have a program and a class where we're challenging our students to come be a part of these board discussions. Get them onto the board committees. Let them be part of policy and curriculum. Hear from the kids and let them tell you what they need and stop telling them what you don't have the money for.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Colleen Michael.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am Colleen Michael, a parent of a 6th grade band student who you met last month, and also a 3rd grade aspiring band student. I'm here tonight to ask the board to take a closer look at the proposed changes to our music program, specifically how they may impact the quality of music education in Phoenixville. What we know is that a quality music education program matters, and once it's diminished, it's very hard to rebuild. As a parent, I've seen how the opening of Hares Hill has impacted staffing and instruction. The general music teacher in my building now teaches beginner strings to all 3rd graders and some band lessons in addition to general music education. The elementary band instructor and string instructors are spread thin. They're running across 3 buildings. I've seen firsthand a marked change this year from the 3 prior years that my 6th grader participated in an elementary instrument. I'd like to ask a few straightforward questions. First, what data supports the planned staffing changes? The district is reducing staff by a full-time contract role at Manavon. What enrollment trends or program data justify that decision? And has the music department been formally consulted to provide input? Second, how do we compare to other districts in Chester County? Have we benchmarked student-teacher ratios in other districts that have similar quality music education programs? Are we still competitive? If not, we risk falling behind in a program where Phoenixville has traditionally been very strong. Third, I'm concerned about the logistical reality of next year's plan. 1 teacher would be expected to teach 4th, 5th, and 6th grade band, plus K through 6 general music education at Manavon, plus continue leading a 100-person middle school band program. How will that work in practice? When will elementary and middle school ensembles even rehearse? How will students receive the attention they need? Finally, I want to address the superintendent's statement at the April 20th curriculum committee meeting that a quote, student experience will not be impacted. Respectfully, Ms. McTiernan, what data supports that statement? Because from what we heard that night and what I've experienced as a parent this year versus the 3 years prior.
30 seconds.
When a fourth elementary school was opened without additional staffing considerations across the elementary band program, it resulted in the district scrambling to hire a long-term sub months into the school year. That is the very role that is slated to be eliminated next year, essentially sending us right back to where we started last August. One could even argue it sets us further back since we doesn't take into account the nearly doubling of the middle school band program that took place over the last year. Phoenixville is proud of its music program, its growth, its success. I urge the board to ensure that decisions are data-driven. Thank you for your time and your support of music education.
Thank you.
Ms. Remington, we have one student that came in and I didn't have the sign-in sheet. So Trevor Heron.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Trevor Heron, Schuylkill Township, and I'm a senior at Phoenixville Area High School. Earlier this evening, many of us have already spoken about the issues that we are facing with our district and music program, and later on you will hear me speak, as well as my dear friend Mike, about the Educators Rising program at Phoenixville Area High School, which is a club built around inspiring the next generation teachers. And I mention this because one of the reasons that many of us want to become educators is because of the teachers like the ones that we have at our district's music program that are currently being asked to stretch themselves across buildings while the district calls that equitable. I was here almost a month ago where myself and many others made a case for preserving the music program staff integrity. That specifically the halftime contract position at Manavon and Mr. Langdon's dedicated role at the middle school. Board members asked pointed questions and members of the public gave over an hour of public comment. Since then, I sent letters to Superintendent McTiernan and to the school board. Her reply, while respectful, did not acknowledge a single point I raised, and this board did not respond. I want to be gracious. These are complex decisions, and board members serve on top of full-time jobs. But when students show up and do work and follow up in writing and hear nothing back, that itself is a form of communication. Superintendent McTiernan stood here last month and said that every staffing decision is grounded in accurate current data. I took that seriously enough to file a formal right to know law for requestment of enrollment figures and staffing metrics used to make these decisions. Today is the legal deadline. I have received nothing, and while there is still a couple more hours in the day, this data drives decisions that affect hundreds of students and has not been available to the public. So let me offer some data of my own. Mr. Langdon has doubled the middle school band program in under 1 year. That is not a program that needs to be strained, but rather it's a program that deserves investment. The current proposal would have him teaching 4th, 5th, and 6th grade band and general music at Manavon on top of leading a 100-student middle school band program across 2 different building schedules. And as the speaker before me asked, how is that logistically possible? And when do these rehearsal times happen? Especially if no scheduling adjustments are made, the math just doesn't work out. I would also ask whether PSD has benchmarked its music staffing against neighboring Chester County school districts. As the music department chair in his role, excuse me, thank you, has the data to answer these questions. At the last meeting, Superintendent McTiernan stated that student experiences will not be impacted by staffing changes, but rather what specific data supports this claim, and have music teachers or students been consulted? Because what the community has made clear at the 2 consecutive meetings is that student experience is already being affected by the uncertainty alone. I have been in this music program for 9 years, and I know what consistency looks like. Our music teachers are becoming that for our students right now, and splitting them up shortchanges every student in that program, and we deserve better than that. Thank you.
Time's up.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our recognition of visitors. Our next meeting is June 15th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. I call this meeting closed at 6:15.